to Raconteurs News.
Good afternoon, raconteurs. Hope you're all having a fabulous weekend. I know this is perhaps a bit unexpected for some of you, but we're doing an extra show today because we're already quite booked up. We're booked up to the end of February at the moment, so we've had to fit this in as an extra show. But we've got an absolutely fantastic week lined up. I just want to tell you a little bit about that before we go into today's show. Tomorrow night we start the evening. Well, sorry, after this show we've got Mark Windows with Windows on the World every Sunday. Then tomorrow night we start 5 p.m. with Chuck O'Celli, and that'll be on till 7. And then from 7 to 9 p.m. tomorrow night we've got a brand new show with Aid Hardy, and that'll be Raconteurs 2. So we'll be looking forward to Aid's first show tomorrow night. That'll be followed at 9 p.m. by Unique Lee in the dark side of the room, and we'll be hearing more from Lee about the rising Darpatech or Planet X or whatever it happens to be this week. That'll be excellent. Then Tuesday night we start again with Chuck, and then at 8 p.m. there'll be myself and Jason, and we'll be followed by another news show at 10 p.m. and that will be Not Dr. Tamara and Tina, and they'll be presenting Happy Hour. So there'll be something a little bit different to what you're used to on Raconteurs News there, and hopefully it'll appeal to an awful lot of people, and I'm really looking forward to what we're going to hear there. So let's get on with tonight, and welcome back, Kaz.
Hi guys. Sorry about the little technical delay there at the start, but between us we sorted it.
Yeah, I'd just like to say welcome to everybody at GCHQ and the NSA, and I hope you learned something while you're listening tonight.
Well, they need to learn it somewhere, don't they, mate? The amount of times they keep slipping up.
Absolutely. I mean,
when I nearly caught them in my house the other week, it was beyond ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Not the sort of thing you expect to find when you come home from the pub. Somebody having gone through all your documents and half of them scattered around the house with some laid out for copying.
Mm.
One of the coppers said well, couldn't your dog have done it? My dog knows how to lay out documents for copying, yes, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, you just couldn't make it up.
No, I've noticed that you know, we seem to be getting more problems with Skype than we used to do, and you know, we were talking for a good hour earlier on, not a problem. As soon as we decide to go on air,
problems all over the place, yeah.
Yes, but anyway, the way things happen in this world, it's easy to get paranoid, isn't it? Let's not be doing that. We had you on a little while ago to talk about the seminar that you'd been to at iicsa, and this time you've come on to talk about your response document that you've compiled towards that.
Well, before we get on to that, I want to briefly mention the upcoming session for iicsa. We've got the date, 21st of February, and they've cut the expenses even more. We're being given £26 for food and what have you, if it's over 24 hours that we're there for. That's down from the £35 last time.
Oh, it must be that the standard of living in London's got cheaper since you were there, Kaz. That must be.
Yeah, since November. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have been told up front that this time we will not be allowed to ask any questions directly of the panel, or to put any points forward directly to the panel. It's all got to go through our solicitor.
Oh.
Now, my main bone of contention with this is, come to public hearings, we have the same entitlements to a barrister would have in criminal court. We make opening and closing statements. We get to question the other witnesses, and we have advanced viewing of all the other all the documentation that goes through relating to our part of the inquiry.
Okay.
Well, if we take on that role, why aren't we being allowed to speak for ourselves?
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, does it?
You can't play one role in one instance and then another role further down the line of that same scenario. Surely.
Well, as a complete outsider, that would say to me that it looks like somebody's trying to inject a bit more confusion into the proceedings.
Yeah.
As if there's not enough already.
I didn't like the idea of everything going through my solicitor anyway with the inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
But I posed the question the other day. What would happen if I was to publicly sack my solicitor at the seminar? I would then be unrepresented. So I would not have legal counsel to whom I would pass my points.
Yeah, good point there. So you'd effectively lose your voice.
Well, I shouldn't, simply because I'm unrepresented. Simply because I'm capable of representing myself.
Yeah.
And don't wish to cost the taxpayer any further burden.
Good point there, Kaz.
And they couldn't give me an answer.
There seems to be a lot of your questions they're not able to answer.
Funny how I can answer theirs, isn't it?
Methinks somebody's in the wrong job somewhere.
Yeah. And then I can't find one. But yeah, back to the proposal that I'd briefly put to them at last seminar. A way of engaging survivors to work with the victims coming forward. And I started putting the proposal together. Now, it's only the first rough draft.
Okay, before you go any further, Kaz, we've just had a request from Freeman Jackie in the chat room. He said, could Kaz please explain the nature of this tribunal? It's not too clear what it's in regards. That's first.
It's not a tribunal, it's a seminar to discuss various aspects of the reparations and accountability thread of the inquiry. It's the first steps of looking at how we can change access to accountability and reparation.
And when you say the inquiry, that's the iicsa-inquiry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that help, Jack?
Yeah, I'm sure that's made that clear, yeah.
Now, last time we were looking at the basics of limitation. As you may remember, the four main underwriters. Yes, into child sexual abuse, Jack. It's the iicsa-inquiry, independent inquiry into child sexual abuse. The one that was headed by Wolf, was it? And then Goddard and now Jay.
Yeah.
Last time, the four main underwriters all agreed that, in general, people do not invent child abuse.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Jack. Now, this time it's going to be looking at the basics of CICA, Criminal Injuries Compensation Award.
Okay.
Something which I'm rather familiar with, having been waiting 3 years for them to now only just be requesting my records.
Oh, right.
Yet, over Christmas, they wanted me to email them proof that I'd ever had a child, because they couldn't be bothered looking.
Wow. I really don't know what to say to that.
That destroyed me over Christmas.
Yeah, yeah. A few of the messages I saw were, yeah, it was quite obvious that put you in a very, very dark place. And obvious to see why.
I tried my best to stay out of dark places, but my social worker didn't help with that one. But, I digress a minute. A little bit of good news for people. The clinic that I was after in London, the dissociative identity clinic, it looks like I've got a referral for that.
Oh, that's good news.
Unfortunately, my new psychiatrist is not somebody I can work with. After 20 minutes of listening to her when I first met her the other day, I had to put away the patient, the child, and bring me out and deal with her on a professional level and go third person because she was, oh, you're so awe-inspiring. Well, no, I don't need that. I need a psychiatrist, not somebody who's going to, like, think that the sun shines out my ass and every other orifice.
No, that's not going to do anybody any good, is it?
Now, when I got home, I sent her a few links for a paper that she was meant to be writing that was due in on the Monday on domestic violence and child abuse, the links between them. Tried pointing out to her that could be construed as a conflict of interest, especially as I shouldn't even be knowing that she's got a paper due in on Monday. Because that's part of her personal life.
Yeah.
And they're not meant to divulge anything about their personal life.
It's a very strange way of carrying on. Almost like it's been set up to fail from the beginning. Yeah.
That's all I can put it down to is sabotage. Because that's what it feels like. So I've made my GP's practice manager aware of it. I've made my GP aware of it. I've made my solicitors aware of it. And everyone now listening.
Yeah, I think it's important we make people aware of that because it's... Well, it's just... you couldn't make this up, the chain of events that are occurring around this, you know, particularly with the home invasion that occurred the other day. I mean, people might call us paranoid, but it was quite obvious what was going on there. I mean, I've heard so many stories of people who were speaking out. They get their home invaded, all the documents are gone through, they're all placed in piles, but nothing ever goes missing. And it's just to let you know, we're there, and we can come in, and we can do anything we want.
Now, the day before the home invasion, I had emailed several proofs of my son through to my seeker solicitor. And then I'd gotten up rather late on the Wednesday, went to my appointment in town, and then, in a good mood from that, I went to the pub.
As you do.
A mate ran me home so I could feed and walk the dog. We decided whilst we were here that we were going back to the pub, and that's what we did.
Okay.
I came home several hours later to find everything everywhere. 24 hours after I'd sent proofs through to the solicitor.
Yeah, that's curious timing, isn't it?
But the most important documents they didn't get.
Oh, that's good.
So keep them together.
Very wise.
I thought so, yeah. But anyway, back to this document. Right. Some of you might have discovered the link for this document and had a pre-read. I know some of you have, but most of you probably weren't bothered. But I decided you can't put forward suggestions for change without explaining what went wrong.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I started looking at the children's homes and the schools, then the asylums, the churches, and then the various paedophile networks. And they're not going to like what they find in the report.
Okay.
For well, as you all know, I've been going on for a while about the price of boarding school compared to price of private home.
Yes.
It works out that 3 children placed at a public school with funding left over for 12 weeks fostering for each of them for holiday time would equal 1 private placement in a residential children's home. 3 with a much better education.
Much better education, much better chance.
Much better links in life.
Exactly.
And much better goodies to be sent home with at end of term, because they've all got rich mates. And all their rich mates' families will feel sorry for the kids that have no family. Because that's how boarding school works generally, especially in the early years.
Yeah, would there not be the danger that the children from a disadvantaged background would be perhaps picked upon by those that were better off, the poor oiks sort of thing?
They're all there in their uniforms. The only way somebody actually knows is if somebody actually tells them.
Yeah, okay.
There's other kids there on scholarships, bursaries. There are currently 1,000 children in care at public schools with full bursaries available for them.
Right.
493 are filled.
It's not a very good proportion, is it?
No.
So effectively, by changing another 500 of those children from social services care to public school places.
Even if you took the actual money that is spent on a placement and paid the school fees with it instead of using that bursary.
Yeah. I mean that strictly speaking, that's not necessary with the bursaries in place, is it?
A bursary carries a much more stringent entry exam. They have to excel at something to get scholarship. Be it art, music, sport, academia. They have to excel at something.
Yeah. Woodwork and PE probably wouldn't do it, like.
Sport does.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
And so does craft and design.
But
they have to excel.
Right, yeah, not just be a bit good.
No.
Yeah.
They have to be playing like Bach and Brahms. With the greatest of ease, without a second thought, without a drop note.
Yeah, I get it, yeah. So
yeah, they have to have an operatic tuned voice for that to count. They have to be top of everything if they want to count.
Yeah.
For a bursary. Whereas your standard entry exam for a fee-paying child is your 11 plus.
Right. So yeah, it would be a lot less exclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you. So yeah, there's something that could be more inclusive for more of those children is obviously going to be better, and it's still going to save the public purse an absolute fortune. But is that perhaps a bit of a misnomer that there is any intention anywhere within this system to save a fortune on the public purse? Because it doesn't look like there is. They're just out to spend as much damn money as possible and siphon as much of it into their own pockets as they possibly can.
To be honest, that's not currently the fault of our government, from what I can see.
Okay.
The biggest childcare provider, in which everyone will be fluent with by now, if they've heard me speak on anything, it's Kaz Education, Kaz Childcare. The top man behind Kaz is a builder from Holywood in County Down.
Yeah, that's an interesting state of affairs. I've got to think, why would that be?
His profit margin last year was 600 million.
That's quite a lot of money, isn't it?
Last year, the bill for looked after children, children in care, children in need of care, was 1.8 billion. So 1/3 of the budget last year was Gordon Patterson's profit margin.
Wow.
That was an increase of over 400 million on the year before.
600 million, but an increase of 400 million, so his profits have trebled in a year.
Yes.
That's curious. We're all told we're in economic hard times, and
well, we are. We're not in Ireland.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I know quite a few people over in Ireland, and they seem to be going through the same kind of rubbish that we are. So they're under the same system, essentially, I think.
So 1/3 of the entire budget for childcare went to this one family of builders in Ireland. What has the builder got to do with kids' homes?
Well, like Tony says in the chat room, nice work if you can get it.
No builder should be anywhere near.
No.
Unless they're doing repairs.
Well, yeah, obviously the repairs are going to be needed from time to time, and if there's a new home needs building, you probably need a builder to do it. But
most of the homes are the old properties from Brynellan.
Yeah. So,
or the other abusive homes that were up and down the country over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Between their 12 or 15 companies that they actually run, or head companies for each subsidiary collection of companies, because they all feed into the one, they must own 140, 150 kids' homes up and down the country. 30 or 40 of them, from my recollection, are solo occupancy.
Occupied by one
child.
Individual. Right.
Yes. For one of the companies last year, their wage bill, 139 employees.
Yeah.
£2.1 million for the wages.
Right.
We worked it out earlier. It was roughly £30,000 per year per person if you did it on a straight split.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, with your standard care staff, you're not going to get anywhere near 30 grand.
No.
Yeah? And when some places have, like, 6 teachers and a handful of staff,
Mm-hmm.
a handful of admin for God knows how many kids. That's some wages that's going out.
Yes, it all sounds like it doesn't really add up the way it should do.
No, not from what I can see.
Mm-hmm. And when you sent me the first draft of that, I had a good read through it, and the proposals that you'd put in there, to me, as a simple man, made an awful lot of sense. Now, the what's going on in the system at the minute, to me, it only makes sense if you look at it from one point of view. It only makes sense if you look at it from a profit motive. Once you start to take in individuals into account and their well-being, that profit motive has got to be sidelined, and it doesn't seem like that's the case. The profit motive seems to be everything, and children are suffering as a result of that.
Still.
Yeah. And I know from talking to you, and many other people who've lived through this, that the main motivation behind what you're doing is to stop it happening to others.
Now, there's some out there that say, well, yeah, it's all right sending them to boarding school, but it's like kids home. Well, no, actually, the setup in a boarding school is different. You don't actually have as many staff there as you do with a kids home.
Right, okay.
You have your matron of your dorm.
Uh-huh.
You have your head boy or your head girl.
Yeah.
You have your master who has nothing to do with the dorms.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, he's on the teaching side.
Yeah.
And it's all peer run within the dorm system.
Yeah, I see.
So when it comes to the education side, that they actually engage with the masters.
I get you. So yes. So
it's on the education side that you need the stricter monitoring.
Mm-hmm.
And that's easy enough. You just stick body cams on them.
Yeah.
Anywhere near a kid, you have a body cam on. Shifting a kid. Well, they've already got the biometric sign-ins for lunches and libraries at secondary schools. Well, you expand that system. Moving a kid, thumbprint of both you and the child. On pick up and deliver. That child isn't in 100% condition as it was when it left. It doesn't sign.
No, good point. I mean, I think once you start going into biometrics, you need to be very careful of the security of those things, because
they already run it for the secondary schools.
Yeah, I know that there's concerns about who that data's being shared with, where it's going, and all that sort of thing, which it is a concern, but I appreciate your concern at the moment.
Ideally, it would all be fed into one main abuse hub.
Mm-hmm.
Be in part manned by survivors, fully trained up to deal with people coming forward.
Yeah.
Trying to look at... there was a report went out last year that looked at condensing all the services back down to the three key: police, NHS, education, in a child's life.
Yeah.
Rather than all these different agencies that have sprung up over the years. Because, yeah, let's face it, there are far too many agencies involved in a child's upbringing.
Yeah, fair comment.
There are far too many out there that see it as a fast fucking quid.
Yeah.
And, what's this from Tony? Everyone is suffering as a result of profit. Understand the corporation, then everything else makes sense. Number one legal requirement of any corporation is to make money. As everything, including us, is a corporation, people are not the number one concern. And thank you, Tony. But that shouldn't be the attitude when it comes to children.
Yeah.
Children should never be about profit.
Yes, unfortunately, that's one of the things that is so very wrong with the system we've got in place now. And I like your ideas for addressing that problem.
What I want is an abuse hub that can be acting as your secondary reporting centre, which we've already got in place.
Mm-hmm.
We already have secondary reporting centres where women or men can go and report sexual abuse, sexual assault, without reporting it immediately to the police. They have medical staff on site so that any swabs can be taken if needed. They will bundle up the clothes, bag them, tag them, and take all evidence. And keep it to one side, ready for when the victim is ready to make their statement to the police. So that, alright, it's been reported.
Yeah.
So there's no limitation on that then, because it's already been reported somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I want to expand that for children.
Yeah.
They can go to the centre as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there'll be somebody there that's been through the system, that understands what they are going through and can help them without fear of it getting back to their social worker or the member of staff that's just belted them one.
Yeah. Something that became very clear in that report was that the reporting system that's now in place just does not work. It doesn't work with the interests of the children in mind. It might work with the interest of keeping the system running, keeping the status quo, but it certainly doesn't help the children that are suffering at the hands of abusers.
Oh God, no. The only thing that will is an overhaul of the system.
Mm-hmm.
The sex offenders register is a bit of a worry.
In what respect, Kaz?
Well, for a start off, the guy who set it up ended up being listed on it within, I think it was months, if not years. But, you know,
mm-hmm.
so that in itself kind of undermines the whole project. But then it's not public.
No.
What is the point in having it if we can't check to make sure that the new guy that's moved in next door but one and is inviting kids into his house is not...
Yeah, I know. We did see the failings in that system when we spoke to someone from the USA, and they were saying, if you want to know what paedophiles live in my neighbourhood, you go to this website, you type in your zip code, and ba-ding, there they are. And it tells you everything about them. It's got photo of them on there, so you can see exactly what they look like.
Australia has it.
Yeah. You've got to wonder why it's not here.
A lot of EU countries now have it.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, if they had it here, like, it'd be half of every street, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it does seem that way.
You know, it'd be spot the non-pedo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might spot 3 in a day.
Oof, yeah.
You heard anything from Mickey Summers?
I haven't heard from Mickey for a while. I spoke to Mickey, it'd be September time, last time we bumped into him in Nottingham, but I know he had a heart attack Christmas Day. And,
yeah.
He was...
I've seen the bypass at the start of the year, but I haven't heard from him.
No, I haven't. I did see on Facebook that he was taking it easy and taking a break. Well, knowing Mickey, that's never going to be easy for him, but...
Yeah.
I hope he is listening to people's advice and doing that. And if anyone is listening who's going to be talking to Mickey anytime soon, give him all our best. And
we were asking after him and thinking of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also started to look at the leaving care setup.
Uh-huh.
Now, when you leave care, you are kicked out at 18.
Right, that must be...
More often than not, it's 17. Yeah? They're meant to find you somewhere to live, and they're meant to give you a grant to furnish it, yeah? The average grant is 1,000 for furniture, yeah? Mm-hmm. Now, some authorities, yeah, will spend up to 20 grand on a care leaver, per care leaver.
Right.
Some authorities, the minimum we found was £300.
Don't get a lot for 300 quid these days, yeah.
and the lad was left in a bedsit.
Ooh.
A furnished bedsit. So he didn't even get a grant. The £300 was taken up in fuel expenses for his social worker visiting him.
Really? I mean, to suddenly reach that age of 17 or 18, whatever age it is, they decide to kick you out, and to suddenly go from having every aspect of your life micromanaged to suddenly, there you go, you're on your own. That's a hell of a step.
I know one lad, he got out of care and he went to the shop to get some bread and some beans. He come back with 7 loaves of bread and 18 tins of beans, because that's how it had turned up in the YPO truck.
Really? Wow.
And it just completely blew his budget for the fortnight at that point, you know?
Wow.
Because you don't get those life skills
No.
in a kid's home.
No, I can see why that would be. It'd be almost like having totally overprotective parents who mollycoddle their child all the way through life and never let them do anything until they leave home, and then suddenly they haven't got a clue what to do because mum and dad did everything for them.
Now, in 2014, they brought out a ruling that, foster parents could, if the child wanted, agree to keep the child within their home after 18. But up until 2014, even foster parents had to put the child out on the street at 18.
Wow. That's...
So care was done.
Ah. And presumably that was just because they didn't want to pay for it anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
They don't get paid for them now, essentially, past 18. Even though the authorities are meant to care for a care leaver until they're 21 if they're not in education, 25 if they are.
Right. So how did they manage to wriggle out of that then?
By pissing off the youngster that much that they don't want them in their lives anymore.
Oh, yeah, I see. That would work, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Once you get out from the clutches, why would you go back?
Exactly, yeah.
You know, why would you welcome them into your life for another 7 years?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I was never in any sort of an institution like that. The kind of most oppressive institution I've been in my life is school. And I wanted to get the hell out of there. That's why I didn't do A-levels degrees and all that sort of garbage. I could probably have done it like you. But it was just a system that was not geared up for people like me. And they wanted rid of me just as much as I wanted rid of them.
There you go.
And I think that the system was designed to weed out people like me and people like you.
Exactly. You know, I was dumped in a flat at 17 on a fraction of the money that I would have got on income support because I was under age. I couldn't claim income support because I was still in care. So they still had duty of care for me. They had financial responsibility for me, so they gave me my money each fortnight. And at 17 I was getting £16.40 a fortnight off them. The income support level at that point was £33.50 a week.
So you're essentially getting half the level of the minimum the law says you're required to live on.
I was getting a quarter per fortnight of what I should have got by law.
Wow.
And I was having to spend £10 a week on bus fares to go and see my social worker in Halifax. So more in a fortnight than I was actually getting.
Hmm. Well, I suppose that's one way to teach you budgeting.
Yeah. And begging.
Well, yeah. Too much.
And theft.
Mm.
You know? It's one way of getting rid of me completely, innit? Guide me to a life of crime and make sure I'm not around.
Yeah.
Or have me starved to death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the system certainly seems to be not set up to make that transition into adult independence an easy one?
To be honest, when I was in Wrexham, the one good thing they did was the halfway houses at Brynellan.
Right.
You'd have staff overnight, but not through the day.
Mm-hmm.
And you only went there once you'd hit 16.
Yeah.
And then after I'd given birth, they moved me into independent living, but I still had staff with me because I was only 16 and I just had a baby.
Mm-hmm.
I had staff with me just to make sure.
Yeah.
At first, and it was slowly watered down.
Mm-hmm.
But when I moved back to Halifax, I was put into a children's home with my 2-month-old baby.
Seems to be a singular lack of joined-up thinking there.
3-bedroomed, semi-detached house to a children's home. A newborn.
It seemed to be a huge lack of consistency in a what would you call it, a care plan? Here we are, we'll put you on this level doing this and everything's honky-dory, and then suddenly, boom, you're down there.
Their plan was to get my son away from me as soon as they could. Top and bottom of it. The actual documents, when they moved me back to Halifax, cite parenting problems. 3 days after, Wrexham Social Services had signed me off their books because they couldn't find any parenting problems.
And did they say what the nature of these parenting problems were?
No. That wouldn't give him up. So they removed all support, so that I had no choice.
Incredible. And in your case, there was a very specific reason they wanted your son off you, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was a product of rape by staff that I can't identify. But his DNA was on record until David Greenwood destroyed it.
Wow.
My son's DNA was in the archives of what is now Switalski's. It used to be the former Parker Bird in Huddersfield. Switalski's bought it out. David Greenwood knew the files were there, and when he moved from Jordan's to Switalski's, I got a phone call from Cheryl, the receptionist, saying to me, David's outside and he's just put your files in the skip that's on fire.
That is incredible.
I told him 3 weeks before where that file was.
Wow. You just blown me away there, Kaz. I really don't know what to say to that.
And that's the guy that you met in Leeds.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The one record of my son's DNA in known existence.
Wow.
And it had been placed there by district judge on the Northern Circuit, Her Honour Karen Woodhead, who is actually a close personal friend.
Of yours?
Yes, because she was my solicitor when I had my son with me still. She handled everything to do with my son and his adoption. She has a drawing by me in her hallway.
Then surely there must be some sort of comeback for that. That action was clearly not an honourable action.
The company had been sold and the archives are only meant to remain for 10 years. They've been there for over 20.
Phew.
Karen, when she left Parker Bird, had left instruction that my files were not to be touched. And all the time it was Parker Bird, they weren't. my criminal solicitor, who was attached with Parker Bird, and now has Parker Bird Whiteley. God, he's getting a good plug here, isn't he? Parker Bird Whiteley. Yeah, he kept me out of jail enough times, did that man. Okay. God bless him. He tried to access some of my files that should have been in archives at the old office and couldn't.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he say why he couldn't access those files?
Because they were no longer there. Because they had also gone.
Wow.
I had no customer-client records round at Switalski's other than David Greenwood's file on me for Skirkett Lodge in North Wales that he did no work on whatsoever. And yet I invite him on the programme to discuss this. I invite him to discuss it with me in person.
Yeah, I remember when we did the last show, we did.
And he's not been in contact, has he?
Not with me for sure, and I presume he hasn't with you.
No.
No. So we're just coming to the last 10 minutes of the show now, Kaz.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask people to have a read through this proposal and get back to me and let me know what they think. Okay. Please. I need people's input on it.
Yeah.
I need to know what people think of the way it's heading, the work that I'm doing. I need to know if I'm going in the right direction with it for people.
Well, hopefully we've got enough informed listeners listening with strong enough opinions that they'll be able to have a read through it for you and come back with their reaction to what you've written, and I hope you'll get some useful feedback off that, Kaz.
One thing I will stress is please remember it is a first draft.
Yeah.
Not all sections are even completed. Not all sections are even written in yet. It is a work in progress. I've tried to give examples of different scenarios as I've been going through the different sections, such as time limitation on attempted murder. I've tried to lay it out as succinctly as I could and as organised as I could, and highlight the problems that have been there all the way through that need changing urgently. They already have a programme in place where they've meant to have been working for the last 5 years to improve childcare. All the reports that this is based on are the final reports after that 5-year stint to improve childcare, and there has been zero improvement.
Yeah.
They've all acknowledged that there has been zero improvement in those 5 years, and that their approaches are not working. They've given themselves another 3 years. I don't know what they're going to do at the end of those 3 years when those changes still aren't working. And nor do they.
No. Well, let's hope they take note of your...
They need a fresh look at it. And that's what I'm trying to give them.
Well, thanks for coming on tonight and taking the time to share that with your listeners. I hope you get some good feedback there, Kaz. We'll be followed... Sorry?
Thank you for having me.
No, you're most welcome anytime, mate. We will be followed at 8 o'clock by Mark Windows for Windows on the World. And just a quick recap of what we've got coming up this week. Monday night, 5 to 7 p.m, we've got Chuck O'Celli with the O'Celli Effect. That's every weeknight. Then 7 o'clock Monday night, we've got Raconteurs 2 with Aid Hardy. That's Aid's first show flying solo. Good luck with that, Aid. Really looking forward to that. And then we've got that followed by Unique Lee in the Dark Side of the Room, 9 till 11 p.m. Monday night. Then on Tuesday, we start off with Chuck O'Celli. at 5 to 7 p.m. Then there's myself and Jason, 8 till 10, followed by Happy Hour with Tina and Not Dr. Tamara. Really looking forward to that. That's going to be something very different. Not quite sure what to expect from it. Go ahead, Kaz.
One just big shout out for Joan, because I know she was knackered and she wanted to go to bed, and she stayed up specifically to listen to this, and I love you to bits, darling. Thank you for that.
No problem. Joan's brilliant. Always glad to have her around. She makes a great contribution to what we do here. But
you guys, and thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks everybody for listening. It's always great to have you listening, because we'd be just two nutters talking to ourselves otherwise, wouldn't we? But
like any other day.
Yeah, that's it. We're going to play out now. Got a tune, and I thought it pretty much says it all about what I've been talking about tonight. And it's one that George Benson actually played outside my bedroom window several years ago. Unfortunately, he played it just about a year before I moved into that place, so we didn't hear it. But it was nice of him to try, wasn't it? So,
Muppet.
Thanks for listening, folks. Here's a bit of George Benson, and we'll see you again on Tuesday. Thanks, Kaz. Good night.
Good night.